What's up, guys? Welcome back to Principles Fat Loss for Life. We're reviewing principle number one still. Everything is just math. That's one of our universal principles that we're going to try to hammer home on everything. And right now, I'm going to review some muscle math. So before we get into that, we'll review somebody's total daily energy expenditure. This is the total calories going out. We've got 60 or 70% coming from their BMR, basal metabolic rate, 5 to 10% coming from the thermic effect of feeding or food, 5 to 20% coming from non-exercise activity thermogenesis, and 5% coming from direct activity, exercise activity thermogenesis. So this is your workout. So let's take an example person here. Say they're burning 2,500 calories a day. That's 1,750 from BMR, 250 from food, 375 from NEAT, 125 from exercise. And as we previously discussed in the last video, in the last extension of the principle, you're going to get adaptations from exercise, particularly from cardio. So we're not going to go overly into those. We're just going to assume that you watch that and you know. So I'm using general averages for this entire video, very general averages. Remember, these numbers are not literal and exact. They're to teach you a concept that is a very powerful concept. So a general average person doing a hard cardio session is going to burn in 30 minutes about 350 calories. Let's say the conservative low end expected adaptation of about 30% means their BMR is going to slow down by 105. So their BMR dropped to 1645. So the net total exercise activity thermogenesis gain is they burn an extra 245 calories that day. From a really hard, high intensity resistance strength training session, calories burned in 30 minutes, 220. Expected adaptation would be about 66 calories, so their BMR would slow down to 1684. Their total exercise gain that day would be 154 calories. So cardio versus weights and short-term calorie expenditure, cardio wins by 91 total calories out over the short term. That's why everybody's like, hey, you got to do more cardio to lose weight. That's definitely not the case. The more you work out and the more weight you lose, the more your metabolism is going to slow down, both from the weight loss and from the exercise. So if you train consistently, your 350 calorie cardio workout 6 months later, 2 years later, you're still going to burn about 350 calories from doing that same workout over and over and over again. Um, that's why it's always going to feel hard when you go push yourself and you push yourself harder, but you're still burning the same amount. What happens is you start burning fewer calories elsewhere, not just in your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, but in your total body systems overall. Basically, you increase the efficiency of your metabolism. So your BMR starts to slow down the harder you train over the long term. There's actually not a big difference between people that train a moderate amount and people that train a ton in terms of the metabolic benefits because people's metabolism will become more efficient. It'll adapt the more they train. So you have to sustain that same level of exercise and intensity in order to sustain the benefits of weight loss. If you were using exercise to lose weight from creating a caloric deficit, then you have to sustain that in order to maintain that weight loss over time. You've got to continue the same amount at the same intensity forever. But if you're reducing your lean mass, you're reducing your body weight and you're reducing your lean mass and you're reducing your basal metabolic rate from the adaptations from exercise, you're going to hit a plateau. There's no doubt about it because the calorie deficit that you started with is going to close and then you'll stop losing weight. So let's say from training hard consistently for 6 months or a year, we only get a 10% reduction from our adaptation, which is, I think, conservative. And let's say we drop 20 total pounds from that exercise for 6 months or a year. The starting BMR of 1750 is now dropped to 1450. So it's 300 calories slower per day than it was when you started. And the 300 calorie deficit per day across the board is about 0.6 pounds of weight loss per week. That's the difference in how much we've slowed down. And that's where you're at now, being stuck is equated at that slowdown. So because of the slowdown in the adaptation, if I stop that level of exercise, the original deficit that I had of 300 calories, which is now closed, ends up becoming a surplus. So if I stop training and I am eating the same exact thing that I'm eating now without increasing it, right? I'm now gaining at a 0.6 pounds per week. And that won't be the exact rate of weight gain because my metabolism will adjust. The point is that that's now the surplus to be gaining at that weight. And because I changed my metabolism, I can't stop that weight gain. unless I cut my calories back more than I was when I was training and dieting, or I start training again in order to create that equated or deficit that I was looking for. But I don't want to train hard anymore because I'm frustrated that I'm stuck and I'm stuck at this plateau that I can't get past. And I can't cut my calories back even more because I'm too hungry. I need to eat. I can't stand being stuck and training hard, and I can't stand being so hungry all the time. And it's at this point that people get to and they realize intense exercise actually helps them control their hunger better than when they're not exercising at all. When they're completely inactive, they have a harder time controlling their hunger than when they're training hard. So now we've created a bad spot. We don't want to train because we're burnt out, because we're stuck and we can't make progress, but we're able to control our hunger better when we're exercising. So now we're burnt out on exercise, but we're eating more because we're hungry. We're really starting to gain and relapse. This is the usual cycle that everybody goes through. They plateau and then they relapse. So let's say instead of focusing on that cardio and the circuit training and the boot camps or whatever for a year to lose 20 pounds and create that adaptation. Let's say we focus on strength training for 1 full year, just strength training. And in that year, we put on about 15 pounds of muscle, which every single one of us could do. We would all look great adding 15 pounds of muscle. You'd look toned and defined. You would not look bulky at all because muscle mass isn't humongous. Everybody's frame could probably handle 15 pounds of muscle mass. More so, but 15 pounds would look great on everybody. It absolutely does not make somebody look jacked. The calories burned from additional muscle mass estimations range from anywhere from 6 to 20 additional calories per day. So we're going to take that range and we're going to say it's just 6 to 12. We're going to go ultra conservative. If we add 15 pounds of muscle mass in a year, we increased our total daily energy expenditure by between 90 and 180 calories per day. And experts across the board will tell you muscle's not burning as many extra calories as you think. It's really not a lot. It's like half an apple. So who cares about putting all that time and effort into strength training? Because you get such a small gain, you know? And they're absolutely right. It's not a whole lot, except that the average American adult gains about 2.2 pounds per year starting in their 20s. And that's what eventually leads them to becoming overweight and obese. 2.2 pounds per year from the time you're 25 to the time you're 40 is 33 extra pounds of body fat. How different would you look? How different would you feel if you were down 33 pounds of pure body fat? I think every single person would feel and look amazing, regardless of their weight loss goals. 33 pounds of pure fat off your body, even if you've got over 100 to lose, would make such a difference. So, an additional 90 calories per day from that muscle mass going out to your total daily energy expenditure. If everything was the same and you bumped it by 90 for a year, that would be 9.5 pounds of fat loss per year. If it's 180 extra calories per day on the high end, that's 19 pounds of fat per year. So you're looking at least almost a pound per month of extra fat loss. And if you look at the last 3 to 5 years of your life, how much weight have you steadily and easily been able to lose? Assuming all behaviors are the same, they get that little bump. How much weight have you been able to lose over that period of time? And if you didn't lose 60 pounds easily over the last 3 years, then this is definitely a very easy and obvious option for you to go. Because the effort to maintain muscle mass is very, very, very little to maintain it. It takes a lot of hard work. It takes hard effort to build muscle. And you got to be smart about it. You got to make sure you get the right amount of protein, everything. But then it's very easy to keep that muscle mass. 3 sets twice a week of your major muscle groups will probably keep all the muscle mass that you have on your body forever. So the gain to the BMR is not exercise activity thermogenesis. It's not dependent on you maintaining a level of exercise. The benefits that you gain from adding muscle mass are not dependent on the total volume of exercise moving forward. So you'll continue to receive the benefits even if you take time away from exercise. That's the key there. If you take a break from training, you don't lose the gains that you had made because of how you invested that effort and what the changes were. So here's the analogy for you. See if I can get my face out of the way. Boom. Here's the analogy. Cardio is a loan from the government, unforgivable. It's got a very high interest rate, and that will come due eventually. At some point, you're going to have to pay that back. So the metabolic benefits that you get from that are never yours to keep. It's just a temporary loan that you're going to have to give back, no matter what. Strength training is like funding an investment account with a guaranteed modest rate of return. So the metabolic benefits will continue to fund you forever. It was yours to begin with from the effort that you put into it, and it'll always be yours. It'll be there for you, taking care of you forever. So let's do a little review perspective. Our original person that we started with way back at the beginning, with a total daily energy expenditure of 2,500 calories per day. After a year of hard cardio circuits and boot camps and Metcons and CrossFit and Orange Theory, the end, with their weight loss, total daily energy expenditure dropped to 2,200 calories per day. After a year of muscle building, it would have increased to 2,600 calories per day. It's assuming they both lost an equal amount of weight. And of course, these are all ranges and guesses. This isn't exact numbers. This is not how it works specifically, which means it could also be more drastic than this. These are just examples to prove the concept, to review the principle, teach the concept. Okay, that's your muscle math. Building muscle is a much, much, much smarter investment, both over the short term and over the long term. And that's why it's one of our principles, which we will get to again and review in the future, to fat loss forever. But it also goes back to our universal principle for fat loss forever is everything is just math. And if you look at the math here, it's too smart of an investment. You have to just invest some of your effort into building that muscle mass to get those gains over the long term. And anybody with any strategy that does not have that as one of the bases of everything that is built on is so wildly wrong that it's painful. Ask questions. Tell me how much muscle mass you've built in the last 12 months and how you're going about building that muscle mass, because those are the things that we're going to discuss a whole lot more. Do the work.